Well, the tea's ready, and it's time to spill some. Time to drink some. Time to share some. Say a special good morning to my co-hosts.
Good morning, Jamster.
Good morning to everyone.
Hey,
I am your host, Azard Gumbs, and with me is Candy Franklin, and here with us also is the Jamster, Trevor.
Just the Jamster.
Trevor,
Just
you should
Jamster.
be, you
No,
should-
just Jamster. I'm not into this formal thing with you. Just Jamster.
Happy
Just do what
Monday,
I
guys.
say. Just do what I say. All
I
right?
wish Jamster would take his own advice.
Happy Monday. I
Yes.
see you guys are ready and raring to go.
Yes, everything
Let's
is
do
wonderful. So, I'm looking at some news that stood out as we approach this Monday morning, and one of it is that the repairs are being made to the Sir Lee Elmore Judicial
Thought
Complex.
That would jump out at you.
But they're saying that repairs to the Sir Lee Elmore Judicial Complex delayed because of excessive mole presence.
Wasn't it shut down to begin with because of the mall?
Yep, and this is something that we are seeing in government buildings where they have not adequately maintained the property, and so a lot of these buildings are there are concerns about moles and mole and of course persons are being affected, workers, their health is being affected, and your health is your wealth. What can you do when you have a damaged heart as a result of the situation in which you have to...
Over the last few years, this mole issue has gotten way out of hand. I think I remember when it first started, it's with Inland Revenue. And then Inland Revenue changed offices. The Labor Department has been shuffled around quite a bit. So when I saw that the court had to be shut down, I was like, how are we still not able to discover this before it gets out of hand?
And it says in updating the Parliament on the situation, the Attorney General of St. Kitts and Nevis, Honorable Garth Wilkins, said that there is a delay in giving a full report on what work is needed to rectify the mole issue since the complex was closed in June 2022.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
It's going to be a year soon.
Yeah, and it has been closed. You know that persons have been accommodated, those persons who wish to see the magistrate court or even the high court, up at the Frankland. Fortland. Frankland is Old Road. Old Road is always on my mind. Fortlands, up in Fortlands, the Bastille area is where persons have to go now.
Well, you can't help but notice that they're up at Fortlands because the parking is chaotic up there.
Yeah,
I
must say
often
beautiful
wonder why they
building, though.
don't use the other half, which is like the grassy area right in front of you.
Yes.
And park.
But I must say the up by Fortland, the layout is, I think, a lot better.
Wow.
There's actually like a little snack to the back, so if persons, as they're waiting on their matter to be heard, especially the clients, there's a way to the back where you sit down on benches and there's a snack there, so you could get your little drink, you could get a little snack as you wait for your matter to be heard. Very different from being in the square.
Right.
And something which shouts out to me is the way in which over time we continue to call persons to the court where they have to sit outside.
Let me tell you.
And their name is shouted.
I find that so embarrassing. I've never gone through it, but I find it so embarrassing.
I'm saying, why is it that in today's age we still have to go through that process here where you go outside and persons have to shout your name?
Maybe give them numbers maybe and just call them at a number or something like that?
Why you don't have them in a waiting area in the building?
That too.
Out of the sun, give them a comfortable seating where it is that you could say, well, matter X, Y, and Z is now being heard, and a little display on the wall that's
something like maybe a counter showing you what case is going to be called next.
Exactly.
What is it like up there? Is it the same? Because I don't don't practice.
Yeah,
so
they do call you. I mean, they do call you, but there's a microphone, but it's
It's a little bit more private.
It's a little more private because of the way in which the building is in and of itself. Whereas when you look at this square, you're shouting from across the road into, some persons might be on the square, some vehicles might be passing up. Whereas you're only calling persons where it is that they're inside the vicinity, as in the outskirts. And then there's not much traffic as it is on Independence Street, so it lets persons know your interaction.
Well, maybe with the new building there'll be a new method of calling persons in.
I hope some alterations are being made. You know
what kills me now is that the cops doing it in that idiotic robotic voice.
Oh my goodness!
I'm just telling you the truth.
Trying to get me arrested today.
I'm just telling you the truth. No, what Azard is right. This is something that always bugged me. I said, why are we doing this?
It is
old time town crier stuff.
It is
ridiculous.
distasteful, to be honest.
It's almost as though you're shaming the person whose matters are being
onlookers
heard.
who don't know the background. People just like, oh my God, she gone to court today. Oh my God. I remember I used to be sitting in the registry doing work, and you're hearing this screaming out. It's hopefully, we're fingers crossed that
you just have a
this
nice
is gonna be
waiting
a thing of the
area.
past.
There's a little thing on the top, on the corner, so you
can see
your name,
a counter,
a little buzzer
something.
and stuff like that. The persons, when you realize you haven't been called, and then the orderly or whoever can come out and see if,
or you check it regularly, so okay, this matter is just before mine, let me go sit inside, because I know they're sitting on the inside, but it's limited. So
I mean,
let's see. It's a bunch of lawyers. I'm sure you guys will take care of it.
The thing is, right, I had always envisioned when they announced the annex and they were building it, right? I was actually thinking they were going to use the annex for a waiting room, and they would have an intercom. That's what I thought.
I really did think that was the plan.
I thought
when they built the annex.
And then they would have like a public address, like in the airport, like you're sitting and you say, okay, so and so, just come over or whatever.
Yeah. I can't recall when the annex was completed though, but then because of the mall situation, they've now
had to shift.
Yes,
to
I don't know
else.
to what extent, because I can't remember to what extent it perhaps might have been used, but
what was the intended use?
I think it was supposed to be to house a library. The library is up there as well. I don't know what other facilities. I can't recall at this time, and I don't want to go in and not be able to recall, because there has been a shift since 2022 with the closure of the main building, where they have to have facilitated and make some alterations.
The other thing I thought they were going to do, I was hoping I kind of thought they weren't going to do it, but I thought there might have been like an air bridge, like
something across.
Yeah, exactly. Where they maybe the top floor might have been better, because there's like a garage behind there.
Right.
Where you maybe walk. So for in case rain comes. I mean,
right.
Okay.
See what I mean?
Listen, we can't even get an air bridge when we're boarding the aircraft. I don't know what kind of technological advancement you're pushing here. And speaking of which, Intercaribbean had its inaugural flight yesterday.
Yes, and I see all the fanfare. With the waterworks and everything.
I am telling
water,
you,
right?
yes, it was water. I am so happy. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Intercaribbean.
You don't see when it touched down.
They had two fire trucks doing like a water.
I didn't know they do that here too.
Okay.
Well, what happened, Jamster? Nothing fast?
Well, it's kind of a waste of water when you think about it.
Oh my goodness.
Given that we have droughts and so on.
I'm sure we can spare some to let them know we're happy to have them, because we have been dying here with the nonsense with Leah.
But you see, this just points out how we do things by tradition without thinking about them critically and analytically.
Maybe we should have released some balloons. We have balloons. Events Extraordinary has balloons.
but you see what I mean? I mean, in a drought.
I do understand, because even when it comes to watering crops and washing cars, we've been having to cut back. But welcome to Intercaribbean Airlines.
It was just a sharp moment, man. When you have the Drew vents, I sure they have the wet down and you use the water too.
Champ says being selective, but I am happy. I look forward to great things from this airline. We have all been plagued with the whole LIAT fiasco. Just to get to one destination, sometimes it's like a week, because if LIAT only flies on 2 days.
I don't know when last I've been on LIAT, to be honest.
It is a nightmare. So even when I traveled recently, I
Yes.
traveled to Trinidad. I left St. Kitts. I went to St. Martin to catch Caribbean Airlines because I couldn't get one to Antigua. Stayed overnight in St. Martin, left St. Martin, and Caribbean Airlines was supposed to fly to Barbados. That didn't happen. We went straight to Trinidad. And then coming back, it was the same headache. I had to leave Trinidad, fly with Caribbean Airlines to St. Martin, then from St. Martin, take Liat. And I'm saying there must be a better way to do this because Liat only flies on 2 days into St. Kitts. Why? Right? And it's the same thing for Dominica and a bunch of other countries. So anytime you want to travel to get anywhere, you have to plan at least 3 days in advance just to get there on the specific day.
Well, I haven't traveled in the Caribbean.
Imagine going to the Barbados embassy.
Yeah.
One of my sisters went, it took her a full week.
Wow.
And her appointment was just 1 day. I remember when I went to the embassy, I just flew down the day before, went into the embassy in the morning, and came home in the afternoon. I don't even understand this madness. So I'm really looking forward to them at least taking up some of that slack so that it eases the pressure on the rest of us that have business to do.
And Barbados is a nice hub where you can get there and then I guess you catch your flight to whatever other country within the Caribbean that you desire. Another article that stood out is that Bratney warns SKN residents against dependency on PAP and other social programs. Says PAP was designed for COVID-19 relief.
I saw that article and it made me think about all the uproar that has been going on in social media with the delayed PAP payments.
Yes.
I do listen to other radio programs and there's been quite an uproar going on social media. There was even this one going around with this guy I think it was in Social Security that was throwing a tantrum for his payments. Yeah. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but I did notice that the entire program has been revamped. And to a certain extent, I do like some of the changes. I like the whole caseworker or the case management aspect of it. Because some people have definitely taken advantage of the program, let's be honest. Some people have just sat at home, not made any effort to get off of the program.
Yes.
And so I think what the Honorable Jeffrey Hanley is now saying is that you're going to be on it for a year. We're going to assess your case. We're going to touch base with you. We're going to actually check in with you to make sure that you're not just sitting there and being dependent on the government.
Something you guys said sparked. The phone is like a Christmas tree over here.
So let's have the callers. Let's see what they have to say.
Callers, go right ahead. Hi, caller. Hello. Okay, let's go to the other call. Hi, caller, go right ahead.
Yeah, good morning. How are you guys doing? And ladies, good morning.
Doing good. Go right ahead.
Good.
Good, thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations on the inaugural flight there to St. Kitts. But like I had like a weird scenario, right? We know we've been having difficulty with the airport there at Newcastle, the Van Summer International Airport, right? My scenario is like seeing that we've been having so much difficulty with the inter-island, with the regional travel. I mean,
right.
This flight that's coming to St. Kitts yesterday. You know, in my mind, you know, Nevis, you know, they need to maybe partner with the federal government and see how well they can share the flights coming into the Federation and build up the inter-island travel between St. Kitts and Nevis, right? Just as well as a Nevis person travels down to Basse-Terre to St. Kitts to get on the jet to fly out to, you know, Puerto Rico, VI. You know how the Caribbean is set up, northeast, northwest to southeast. To me, all the interregional travel coming up from down in the islands, like this flight coming from Barbados, you know, they should have these flights dropped in Nevis. And then persons in St. Kitts can travel over and utilize the Ouali ferry terminal that they have built in Nevis to have the interregional travel develop more. You know, I travel down to St. Kitts a lot to catch flights out of St. Kitts, and you know, when you're coming down on the ferry boat, you enjoy the views and stuff like that. But they haven't been having any limited travel from the other end coming up from St. Kitts over to Nevis. You know, if people if persons will travel over from St. Kitts to Nevis, then they can enjoy the scenery coming up to Nevis as well. If this start being more of a two-way travel, then it probably will increase the inter-island travel between both islands. And the pier there at Uali, the NIA will have to have a longer outlook on that pier at Uali Beach. So in my mind, the jet planes can come in on the St. Kitts end, but the smaller aircrafts like this 30-seater here can actually land in Nevis. Why don't they have like a shared, like they be talking about the fair share thing.
Well, caller, that there's
it can be a shared thing.
Yeah. That the operations for the airlines, the airports in St. Kitts and Nevis are separate because there's CASPA, which is the St. Christopher ANC Port Authority, and there's also the Nevis ANC Port Authority too. So they're two, they operate separately.
Yeah, okay, I get that. But so therefore what I'm recommending is a partnership. They can have a partnership because, I hope you can understand what I'm saying. It's a weird scenario.
No, I do understand because during COVID, I know when persons wanted to leave St. Kitts, some of the flights that were actually leaving, they were leaving from Nevis. I remember having to send my mom over to Nevis.
I remember hearing that.
She left Nevis and went from Nevis to Puerto Rico and then back to the U.S. So, it's not completely weird what you're suggesting. It has happened before, and I take your point, and I do think that maybe we should do a little bit more cooperation and see how best we can promote inter-island travel. It shouldn't just be in the region. We should start at home.
I do agree with you. We should look into developing this stuff because the Nevis airport is just like it's just sitting there dormant. I mean, the runway that like I'm saying, that 30-seater that came into St. Kitts yesterday, such aircrafts can land in Nevis because they had the Eagle landing there before.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you're coming up from Barbados, you're dropping St. Kitts, and you're dropping Nevis, and then you just travel across the Narrows. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It shouldn't be a one-way thing where it's always St. Kitts.
Yeah.
They can do both ways.
Something like that will need greater cooperation between the two entities, and also we'll need
the greater
we also need greater air traffic because oftentimes you realize that to manage an airport is very expensive. Even here within St. Kitts, it's the seaport aspect that actually carries most because they're all bridged together, and it's actually the seaport affairs that actually helps to manage the airport because they offset the expenses because airport management and airport upkeep is very, very, very expensive.
My goodness.
And you need to have that air traffic. So we'll need to increase air traffic.
It will be easier. It will be easier for somebody to come into Nevis than to be going through the headache what this lady has just explained when she had to travel to Trinidad. It's once you drop into Nevis, then you
but the management of the same would be in Nevis too. You'll have to have if it's up and running, operating an airport is expensive, so they will have to have increased airfare, increase airlines, increase air traffic to offset these expenses. So we will have to focus on enhancing that aspect where the airports could actually be able to manage themselves.
I got you. Okay, I understand you greatly. One of the point question I wanted to ask, right, concerning the Haitian case that's in Nevis, right? Is that case isolated to just Nevis alone, or is this a federation case where it should involve? It's a national security thing where is the Attorney General going to get involved in this case to represent the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, or is this case just going to be sit there and be isolated to Nevis alone? Isn't this like a national security thing? And if it is a national security
we have
thing,
traffic court soon. I don't think the case. The case isn't isolated to Nevis alone. It's being had in Nevis.
Because that's the port where they docked. So
I think that's it. That's the port. Yeah. But
even though that's the port where they dock, right? St. Kitts and Nevis is a federation. This is one state.
Yeah, but whatever ruling whatever ruling is done would have this effect in St. Kitts as well.
Of course.
Even though it's done in Nevis.
No, because the country is governed by the laws of St. Kitts Nevis.
Before they have a ruling on this case, is the Attorney General is going to get involved to represent the state?
I have not. To be honest, I have not dealt into the matter. I have not read what has been put before, so I can't go into that right now. I'll actually have to look at what has been brought to the
arguments,
court.
right? So it will be determined, I would think, based on what unfolds in the case. So it's starting in Nevis, but remember we're a federation, so every law is governed by the laws of the Federation of Nevis, and I would think that
St. Kitts and Nevis,
right, the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and I would think that the ruling would not be any different.
Yeah. So
but I'm not waiting for the ruling. I'm trying to figure out if the Attorney General is going to represent.
We're
the
right
state
there with you.
I have not looked to see who the parties are specifically. We hear the matter on the airways, but I have not seen the official documents that have been filed in the court. I have not looked and perused the matters that have been filed, so I don't want to go into that. And we can't answer whether or not the Attorney General will be attached to it.
I have a question for my lawyer.
Right. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your call.
I have a question for my lawyer.
Okay, thanks, bye.
There is no rule that says that if they apply for thing that they'll be successful,
Asylum?
right?
That's the
Yeah,
word.
they can be denied, right?
It has to be heard. It has to be heard on its merit, and it has to be whether or not.
But it has to actually fit into what the laws of based on asylum are.
Okay.
Because people come up with some of the most incredible reasons to seek asylum.
Because somehow.
And then, but of course, it has to be proven.
But every matter that is brought against the government, the Attorney General's office is attached to it. So I don't know what. So to answer that caller, once you bring a matter against the state, the Attorney General's office would be involved. I don't know if he means
if he's going to put forward. He wants to know if he's going to make a statement or actually go to court and
but
participate.
His office, any matter that's brought against the state, the Attorney General's office gets involved,
even if he's not personally there.
Yeah.
Right, because he represents the state.
Yeah, once it's civil matters, criminal matters, is the DPP.
But the matter ain't Martin, though. Shopping in St. Martin, asylum, it's not really making sense. 5 and 6 don't add up to 15.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make any statements. I have my own personal views, but I don't want to make any statements without having read.
That was just mine.
And actually,
I personally want to know the details because I've just seen a little bit of snippets in the news. I did hear Honorable Mark Brantley make a statement, and I saw that snippet as well. But like Azard is saying, and I prefer to err on the side of caution.
Yes.
We probably would have to see what the matter actually unfolds to be, like the details of the case, and then probably make a statement. Because it's a ticklish case. There's so many things coming out of it, and people are only looking at certain aspects. Like I hear persons complaining about the immigration aspect, then some persons are talking about the humanitarian aspects, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot more to be heard and to be read on the whole matter. So, yeah, I'll pass judgment after.
Yeah.
So anything else, you guys?
I mean.
This I was reminded yesterday about the anniversary of COVID.
Oh yes,
and we had a little chit chat about that. How do you guys feel about that? I mean, I realize that now that we feel like we understand COVID, a lot of the rules and the regulations have been relaxed. And like everybody is like, yeah, I put on a mask if I feel like I don't have to sanitize my hand. And the one thing I did like about COVID is that it made everybody hygiene conscious because some people are out there doing some really nasty things. But everybody is just kind of like relaxed now.
It just goes to show. I mean, just think about it. Like 3 years ago, the whole world was in lockdown. We didn't know what was going to happen. Yeah. We didn't know what was going to be done. And right now we're free. It's as if, to some extent, the way in which we operate is to some extent like COVID never existed.
Right? Right? But, the thing is, it's still very much there, but I feel like maybe because we disbanded our task force and, a lot of people are now, like, you can wear...
The task force
still wear masks.
Disbanded?
People still wear masks if they feel like they have a cold or the sniffles or whatever. But then some people just don't, and people are sneezing and rubbing and touching all over the place.
But
I feel this is one of the reasons why COVID started and got so out of hand in the first place.
But you know what's
yes, James, so the task force is not that.
Oh, I didn't actually.
I mean, I shouldn't say disbanded in that sense, but I know that the numbers that they had, the amount of employees that they had, it's no longer in existence. They may just have like a few heads or just a handful of persons keeping track of things.
So I guess on the DEFCON scale of 1 to 5, there might be DEFCON 2 probably.
DEFCON, yes,
Okay.
maybe.
So
you guys want to take one more call before traffic talk?
Sure.
Hello, good morning.
I call or go right ahead, Island T.
Yes, good morning, guys.
Is this Journey?
Yes, it is.
Hi,
Hey,
good
Journey.
morning.
Morning.
Yeah. No, the lady just mentioned she thinks, she gave her opinion of why she thought COVID started.
Yes.
But
Why it got so bad?
Than,
Why it got so bad?
yeah, let me go a little deeper with my opinion.
Let's not go off the reservation
Shoot,
now. We got
yeah.
traffic talk in 4 minutes?
Jam, so just give me a minute, will you? Here we are dealing COVID 3 years ago. We are dealing with a race of people that I refer to, those who are running this matrix. These are the people who were given, if you are spiritual, they were given 6,000 years to do what they have done. Now, we know that there have been more virus before COVID. But here are a race of people that I refer to as the second frequency. The second frequency who has interrupted us and disturbed us, the first frequency. They were given 6,000 years to rule, as in the black book that we read. They know now that their reign is expired, and they are on a path of annihilation. Now, they have created COVID that touched the whole world, and with their narcissistic minds, I'm probably not pronouncing that word, but you guys know what I mean.
I know you mean, Journey.
Because of their thoughts, their thinking, that they know that if they cannot be, well, they would take as much as they can as they are going into extinction. They are the carbon copy that have an expiry date. Let me repeat this. They are the carbon copy that have an expiry date. You and I know what we do with carbon paper when it is all used up. We wrap it up and we throw it in the trash. Well, we Africans who are black matter, we are the energy that cannot die. If you look at how they treated our ancestors who were slaughtered by the millions through their genocide and their atrocities on the continent in the diaspora, we are still here. Today, we are the majority, they are the minority. Now, why is that? Nature itself is fighting against them from the time they came out of the Caicos Mountain. They know their story, they know our story so well. Mm-hmm. We have to tap into our story because we don't die. There are some people who say they buried us, but they forget that we were a seed. We multiply.
Okay.
All that is happening in Haiti, all that is happening on the continent of Africa, we remain, we are eternal. And today, the carbon copy who is running this system that have created economics for a piece of paper, I'm referring to the US dollar and maybe the euro.
Okay, Journey.
All of that is going to come to an end.
Okay, Journey. Yeah.
All right, guys.
That is an interesting concept.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Journey, that was fine. It's just that we have traffic
Thank
talk.
you so much for reaching out, for calling. That's an interesting concept. I would still like to think that hygiene has something to do with it, but we'll debate that. Call back after this segment.
Okay, so 8:29. Journey, I was saying I wasn't trying to clip your wings or anything. It's just that I was looking at the time. All right, it's 8:29. We have traffic talk coming up in Caribbean Alliance Insurance, our sponsors. So let's go get a word for them and get that show on the road.
Journey can't talk with him.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
when it comes to the important things in life: your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider. Only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Be careful on the road. Don't make it an episode. Attention all drivers. I'm begging you to slow it down, slow it down, slow it down, down. Too many stunt drivers on the road, man.
Okay.
Are you going to introduce her?
Is the main cause of plenty mishaps.
It's 8:32 and it's time for Traffic Talk, brought to you by Caribbean Alliance Insurance, and we've got the inspector seated. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning? Welcome. It is a wonderful morning. As indicated, we're here on another edition of Traffic Talk, and it is good to have the inspector. Inspector, can you tell us what the listening audience and those viewing on the social media pages can expect of you today as you discuss another topic on Traffic Talk?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This morning we will be speaking on persons who can drive within the Federation, and also persons who needs to obtain temporary driver's license to drive here in the Federation.
Sounds good.
And you know, this is something that is current and relevant because we have persons coming in. We talk about just yesterday having an inaugural flight for Inter-Caribbean Airlines, and you know, persons will be coming into the Federation from across the region. We have a lot of activities that are going to come up. We have the music festival where we're going to see so many people coming to St. St. Nevis. We're going to have CPL. We're going to have the carnival again, and once everything goes well. And so we're going to have visitors from across the region and persons who would be interested in driving, and persons who would have license from the various territories coming to St. Kitts and wanting to get a little rental, wanted to borrow their cousin, friend vehicle. So, you know, it's a relevant topic.
It is.
So, we all know that there are 20 countries that make up the CARICOM. However, we have 15 member states, and of course we have 5 associate. Now, for all CARICOM members, they must obtain a temporary driver's license. Whereas if you are a member of the OECS, you are allowed to drive here with your license. However, when that license is expired, you can come to the traffic department, and we then give you a letter that you takes to Inland Revenue, where you would get one of our license permanent. This is so because, you know, it would be hard for us to send them back to their countries to get the license renewed. We have a lot of persons who, because of the free movement, are here and are working in different places, for example, Central Bank, and so we try to accommodate them. And there, you know, it is a little bit of revenue.
I didn't even know that. That is interesting. So let's say I came from Dominica. I have quite a few Dominican friends. I'm here, and within 2 months, my driver's license has expired. I can now be given a St. Kitts driver's license, just come in with the old one, get a letter from traffic, go to Inland Revenue and get a St. Kitts driver's license.
Yes, you also have to walk with your passport to show the status. You must be registered, and then we will give you that document to take to Inland Revenue.
Oh, wow.
And also I think it's important for the listeners, especially the Kittitians, Nivisions, because we don't know if there are other persons from the region who are listening to the show, but you know, when your friends, your family members come and they are wondering, what can I do with my license here? This is your time to listen on, so you could be educated and informed, so you could inform and educate.
Is this reciprocal? So let's say it was vice versa. I went to Dominica. Do we have an agreement with them that I can drive on my St. Kitts driver's license, and when it's expired, is it reciprocal or?
I'm not sure, but I think it should be. However, for CARICOM, for the other CARICOM members, you can also get an upgrade if you want our license. You can buy that receipt at the Inland Revenue, come with your passport, but your passport must have in, as always, the status, and then you can get an upgrade from the department, and you go to Inland Revenue and you obtain our driver's license. Other than that, you can get our license also if you have at least 3 years worth of temporary driver's license.
Right.
It doesn't matter whether it is 3 months or 1 year. Once it amounts to 3 years, and you, as of always, your status is up to date, you are entitled to.
Right. I think that was the only one that I actually knew, because I would always advise persons, go get the temporary license, and after you've been issued 3 temporary licenses, you can actually get like a proper hard copy driver's license. So I think that was the only one that most persons knew. So I'm very excited to have you in here sharing this with us, because I'm pretty sure a lot of persons out there don't know that. It's until they get in a situation, then they start to inquire. So
I have a question. So what happened before this system was put in place? I mean, so if your license ran out, you just didn't have a license, or you had to go and take lessons?
get a temporary one?
Well, if your license runs out, before time, you could have do the written, but we make it easier now for persons.
Okay.
Also for our locals, if you are living overseas and you come back here with, let's say, a United States driver's license, here we are not allowed to give locals, or if you're born here, temporary driver's license. But however, we sometimes give them a 3 months, and then they could also use that and get an upgrade and obtain our driver's license. As the law say, a bona fide visitor is a person on vacation away from his or her ordinary place, and that person should not be from the town. So this is where our nationals would fall. So we don't normally give our own temporary driver's license.
What would the person have to use? So
they could get, as I said, they could get an upgrade. They could go to Inland Revenue, and they can purchase the receipt, and they come back with the instructor, and we take them on the road, and they get an upgrade to our license.
Oh my! So I'm a Kittitian, but I have a U.S. driver's license, and if I want to drive when I come home, I have to go do a road test and then get the license.
Yes, sometimes we give you a 3 months, but you cannot get any more after that. You'll have to go on the road to obtain the license.
That seems a little impractical to me, to say the least. I mean, I think it's pretty hectic driving up there. So I mean, if it could be, okay, I'm not. No, I know it's not you, but I know it's not you, Inspector. But it's just that I just find that a lot of the practices here are just so antiquated, and they just go against pragmatism and convenience.
I'm just thinking that I feel like I'm a native of St. Kitts, and because I'm not living in CARICOM or the OECS, I have to go on the road and do a road test. Have you guys had anyone protesting against this? Because it just seems like, I have to go on with Jamster on this one. So has it always been that if they come back, they have to go do a road test? Or are there, instances where you guys make, different arrangements for persons?
As I said earlier, if they doesn't have a St. Kitts license where they can renew, we would assist them and give them a 3 months, but they can get an upgrade on that temporary to get our permanent. As the law clearly states, a licensed officer may, upon payment of the prescribed fee, grant a temporary driver's license other than a chauffeur's license to a person who applies for the license if that person is a bona fide visitor to the state.
So they can get a temporary without going on the road to do the road test?
That is persons who weren't born
right,
in the Federation.
Right, got you.
Well, that's good. I mean, I applaud the change. I applaud the change. I don't want to inspect it. Obviously, I'm not attacking you. It's the system I'm attacking. Yes, I'm attacking the system.
Now?
One other good thing I found out though in January, I had a relative here for a funeral, and I didn't realize that you could go and get a temporary license. He lives in Canada. I didn't realize you could go and get a temporary license right up until 8 o'clock in the night. Because I remember I was taking him to get the license, and I was like, oh, come on, we have to go because the cashier probably closes at 3 o'clock, because that's what I remember. And then when I got up there, they said, oh, no, we close at 8. I was like, really? I said, that's pretty cool.
This is at the traffic department?
Yes, up at up at St. Johnson. So
I did not know that.
So I took him to the beach, and then he came back after the beach and did it,
Today is definitely a learning day. Thank you so much for that. I did not know that. I was always under the impression that it's an arm of government, so you better get there on time or... Thank you for that, Jamster.
So it's good to see the government chipping away at the old
fabric,
antiquated way of doing things.
Love that word.
And
yes. Oh, we don't have any antiquated mentalities as well.
Oh my goodness. The two of you are gonna start. It would be very good for someone to call in to break this fight now.
So we have a caller. Let's go right ahead.
Hello, good morning.
Caller, Traffic Talk, go right ahead.
Hello.
Hi, caller, go right ahead.
Yes, good morning to you guys there. An observation.
Yes.
The bypass road, which I use a lot, the F.T. William bypass road, that was one evening after the time that light's supposed to be on vehicles. I saw this one light approaching me. The vehicle that was in front was obscured, so to speak, because it was kind of dark. So I thought then that it was a vehicle with one light or a motorbike. Only as I draw closer, I realized that the vehicle, that the one light, because the vehicle that was in front obscured the one at the back, you didn't see the second light, which was on the left. So I just want to make an appeal too, because the police supposed to know this. So I don't really want to ask the people to do that. But I want to make an appeal to people who drivers. When the time comes to put on lights, man, put on your light, because sometimes it's difficult to make out the vehicle in the distance. And I would like the officer there to just make a comment. Put on your lights, man. Put on your lights. You could create accident. There you had this car with this one light. The one furthest to the traffic on my right, because I going west. I mean, west. Yes, west. I was going west. And you know what? I remember one night I was coming one evening, and about 4 cars passed me. None of them had on the lights. So, police officer, I just wanted to make an appeal, and I'm not saying you're supposed to be out there to summons people. Try and see if you can make an appeal to people how important it is to put on your light when time comes to put on your light. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution.
That is something we touched on our last traffic talk.
The last traffic talk, we spoke about lights, we spoke about persons being aware, and also persons being, I want to say, your brother's keeper, because when you're on the road, it's not just about you. Right. It's about ensuring that you are also doing what you need to do to protect others.
Right. Hello,
Traffic Talk, go right ahead, caller.
Good morning, sir.
Good
Forgive me
morning.
not. Forgive me for not saying good morning to those who are there. I didn't listen to the introduction, in fact, but I do know that they are there this morning as usually.
Yeah.
I just wanted to appeal, and I'm saying this because I've said it many times. I even call the Department of Traffic and speak about it. They have sensitized people, educate people, inform people about changes in the road and the traffic. I'm speaking specifically to the one-way street coming down between Rams Wholesale and the grocery store in Birdwalk. People are still coming down there. On several occasions where I'm on the way up, people are on the way down, and I can be stubborn to drive in the center of the road. But I really wouldn't do that. That's just anticipation. Please, if the traffic department is on the road at morning, stopping to see if my vehicle is licensed and if it is insured, so they too can be on the road in that vicinity. Please do something about it. And I know there is no grace period. Everybody should apply and know what all they have told them already to the traffic that is changed, and they should, subject to, apply whatever changes there is. Officers, good morning to you all, and to the host, have a good day. Goodbye.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so
Same
much.
to you. Have a good one. Wow.
Okay, for the first caller pertaining to the lights, yes, we are appealing to all persons. Some drivers, they drive with their fog lights on. Please stop. Use your normal lights and you put on full beam where it is necessary. Also, to all drivers who have ID lights, especially on the passenger buses, we're getting a lot of complaints where persons have these bright ID lights. Your ID light's supposed to be dimmed. It's not supposed to be confusing other road users. I'm appealing to all to have those lights corrected, or we will deal with it accordingly.
Let's take another call. Traffic Talk, you're on the air.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hi,
Good
good
morning.
morning.
I just want to thank you for educating the public concerning, I think it's the second to last caller, make an appeal to the public. But I just want to add to what he just said. Right beside your fingertip, there's a switch beside the switch, the steering wheel, which is the dim and bright. We also need to help the police. So you flick those lights. And once you flick those lights, the person who is driving towards you will be conscious that you are saying something and something is wrong. And so he will have an idea whether one of his light is out or whether his light is too bright. He will check himself because he knows no one can flick the light like that unless something is wrong. So we have to work with the police to help ourselves because they cannot be everywhere and every place, even though we think they could be. So thank you very much for your education. Continue to have a good day.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much
caller.
for that. That is true. But, sometimes you're flicking away and they're so, either the music is loud, they're so distracted, nobody's seeing you. And like you said, the brights when it's necessary. There have been times you're driving along a strip of road and it's not adequately lit. So, yes, you put on the brights. But if there's oncoming traffic, then their lights are helping you. So then at that point in time, that's when you
But sometimes-
dim your brights. You put
Yeah.
on the regular lights. That sometimes doesn't happen at all.
Because sometimes you are driving and the person has on the bright lights, and it's difficult for you to see what's going on because it's blinding.
People don't realize that if you cause an accident, there's no guarantee that you won't be affected. What if that car flips and it comes onto your side of the road? So it comes back again to being our brother's keeper and to being road conscious and for being an unselfish road user. If
Okay.
you keep the brights on, then you're distracting the other driver and both of us going to end up in the accident.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a phone call. Go right ahead, caller. It's 849 Traffic Talk. Go right ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Jamster, and the lady, and all the hosts and police and everybody. This is police without pay.
Thank you for calling in Police Without Pay.
Lord have mercy upon us. The police cannot preach and teach and educate no more. Sense alone could tell anybody who's operating a vehicle. Okay, even if they're running on the foot, can anybody go in a cemetery with the eyes shut and run through the cemetery without put up on a tomb. They know definitely when the place is dark, put on your lights. You cannot run anywhere or walk anywhere with your eyes shut. And they are deliberately doing it. Did you know the reason why? Talking to them is not hurting them. Let them feel in the pocket. When you meet them driving in the night without lights, summons them. Because they know better. When they go in the house, first thing they do, they put on the lights in the house that they can't see. They will never go to the kitchen, go cook, and do anything in the house without put on the lights. What do the police do? Police can't be here there anywhere. Police tired talk. Police been talking to them for years, man. Come on, people. They're just worthless and don't care about the other person who they hurt. They want to satisfy the want and the greed that they need. So please, I don't know when you're going to graduate them because you're tired teach. And again, next thing again, when a lot of people go with the police for license and they drive in, they put down the hat, they take out the hat foot out the car, and they drive like they're innocent. And as soon as the police come out and the police say, okay, you will get your license or whatnot, they put back in the hot foot and they're driving on the road. They don't care who in front of them. They overtake on the crest of a hill, round curve, all kind of places. Ignorance. And when police have to stop them and pull them over now, they want to say the police after them. Police ain't after them. Police is after the behavior on the road and they know they're not supposed to do what they're doing. So please, summon them. That's all I could say. Thank you very much, people.
Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you so
call.
much, caller.
He's not wrong, you know. Suddenly, the roads in St. Kitts have become a drag race course. Suddenly, I don't understand what the hurry is. Like, we have a running joke in my office. We're like, oh, they're trying to catch the bridge. Even though there's no bridge in the area. Because what else could be the excuse for you blazing down the street like that? It's just insane. And I probably have to agree with him. Maybe if they feel it in their pockets, maybe that's going to cut back some of these insane behavior.
On a kind of similar topic, I have a question for the inspector. Is there any regulation against these people who take off their mufflers, take their mufflers off their motorcycles, which I swear it has to be they just do it to be an acoustic irritant because
what? No sense.
Why? I mean, it's just really annoying. There's no regulation about that.
Yes, they could be charged for using noisy vehicle under the Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, where some person remove the muffler or the silencer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So once we have them, they could be charged as well.
Okay, because it's very annoying, and you're at home, and sometimes they're over on the bypass road, and you're hearing it. And
you can hear it clear as day. Very annoying. Don't be at home trying to do some work or get some rest.
Yes.
And in my area, there's a roundabout right where I live. And let me not start on the roundabout because suddenly we don't follow roundabout rules. I'm just hoping that when they have the accident, it doesn't flip up on the curb and damage my vehicle that's parked there.
Okay.
Because there are arrows, they're showing you which direction you have to go. Everybody does their own thing. So don't let me start on the roundabout. But really, the noise, it is a nuisance. You can be inside the house and you hear them coming down the road with the motorcycle. And sometimes they make a circle. Lucky us.
Inspector, quick question. Concerning the roundabout up at Best Buy, everything's been working fine so far, right? I'm just wondering. I drove on it for the first time. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Drove up in the area, and it works fine. So I was just wondering, you guys haven't been having any problems or anything?
Not really, but we've been getting a number of complaints where persons run the red light, especially when they're heading towards Boardwalk direction, and we also get complaints where persons still exit the entrance of Rams and person, as the caller rightfully called, persons still driving down the one way onto. Yeah.
I've had pedestrians crossing when the light is green.
I have to give y'all props for some kind of creative implementations for the fact that the lights are there. I went to Cash and Carry last weekend. And before I left, I asked someone, so when I drive out there, where do I go? And they said, I drive through Rams, like across the street, and into Rams. I actually thought, I said, that's actually pretty creative.
One thing
I wouldn't have thought, I would have thought of that myself, but I thought that was a pretty creative way to get out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're going from one Rams property to the next, so it kind of makes sense, you know.
Another thing that I think some persons aren't aware of, you know that little, when you're going up by the junction by Best Buy and Rams where the new traffic light is, there's a little what you call that?
Like a shoulder?
Yeah, that you could go up. Persons are still looking at the traffic light to see whether or not they could proceed.
Oh, you mean like to go?
Yeah, the little slit.
Yeah.
Based on what we have been told here on Traffic Talk, what you're not confined by the lights.
So that's like a shoulder where you can merge into the main traffic.
So please, persons, I've seen persons because I'm driving and they're waiting on the light to come green on that path before they move, and I'm like, they didn't listen traffic talk that morning.
but to be honest, go ahead, Inspector.
That lane is, we call it a slip lane, so it doesn't operate by the lights. So you can go, but if another vehicle is traveling from Bird Rock to the Central Bank, you must give way.
Yes, you give way.
You give way and then you proceed.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there are situations where you see no traffic and they just waited. No, guys, you could proceed. Please, let's keep the traffic flowing.
One of the problems that I have is the roundabout at the other Rams. When you come on from under the tunnel, there's one where you can take the route to go to Best Buy, or you can take the route to go around the roundabout and proceed in a western direction. Oh my goodness. People are going in the lane where you're going to Best Buy and then still coming back across the cut across to proceed, like as if they're going to Rams or the food court or camps.
Okay.
Every single morning.
Okay, let's take one
more. It's a good thing you know some drivers teach defensive driving, because the amount of accidents that would happen there.
Okay, 3 minutes until 9 o'clock. Caller, go right ahead. You're the last caller.
Yeah, an observation. when people call into the program close to the time when traffic talk, because traffic talk is only half an hour. And when people call into the program and going as much as nearly 10 minutes into traffic time, you get them at that time, or that's for another day. Just my little observation there. Time is time. 8:30 is time. You don't go into all the way into traffic talk, and when traffic talk come now, the time is shortened. Thank you very much. That's my observation.
Okay,
so much,
noted.
caller.
Okay, so Inspector, you can wrap up. Go ahead.
I'm just appealing to all persons, all drivers, owners of vehicle, please comply with all traffic signs, signals, because the life you save can be your very own. Please, we are appealing, I said again, we are appealing to all to comply with all traffic signs, regulations, signals, as the life you save can be your own.
Yes.
Fitting end. Thank you so much. When you're driving like a crazy person, like I said, sometimes you get into an accident, you don't realize that, you're causing that person accident and their vehicle is flipping over to your side, or something is happening and the vehicle is swerving over to your side, all because you didn't want to dim your lights or obey the traffic rules. So thank you so much for that. It's been a pleasure having you here. Very educational traffic talk for me this morning.
Okay,
Thank you.
Wonderful discussion, guys.
8:59, we're going to leave it right there. It's Traffic Talk coming to an end for Monday, March 13, and our sponsors, Caribbean Alliance Insurance.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
2 minutes after 9 o'clock, and this segment, this day part, is brought to you by Tap Water, TAPP. Premium water filtration systems for your health. And we get back to our convo, spilling some tea, taking your calls.
And then we get into, some of the relaxing topics that persons want to hear about.
Relaxing topics?
Yes.
Okay.
Or, Jamsa would like to say the not so serious stuff.
Yeah.
Even though some stuff, even they appear not so serious, are in fact life affecting, and long lasting.
Big time. And we have there's lots of stuff going on. I mean, that bank.
That's a serious stuff.
Yes,
That's serious stuff, Jamso.
The Silicon Valley Bank.
Before you guys go further, I just wanted to point out to persons that this is Consumer Affairs.
Oh, yes, it is.
The department is having a week of activities. So at some point in time, hopefully we can get them in and have a quick chat with them.
I meant to say that this morning that is Consumers Affairs Week, and it's an international celebration. And we had the Minister of Consumer Affairs giving an address, the Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, speaking about the week, its activities. In his address,
launching it.
Yeah, in his address also he talked about our dependency on fossil fuels and fossil fuel, and actually trying to diversify into something more sustainable and something more, less adverse as it relates to the impact on the environment.
It would be good to get one of them in here to expound on that.
It'll be good to have him in on the studio to have a little interview.
Fossil fuels is something that's been plaguing the world for quite some time now. So.
And of course, you guys know that the war in Ukraine is exacerbating the problem.
Yes.
Russia provides a lot
domino
of the world's
effect.
Gas and oil.
The war in Ukraine has had so much effects on the way in which people do business, in the way in which persons get materials and survive.
Look at wheat.
Yeah, some persons, you think as though the war is all the way over there and that it's their problem, but it has affected every aspect of our lives.
Yes.
Good point, Azard, because this is why I always tell people everything is interconnected.
It is.
It is.
And it's not,
if the big country catches a cold, everybody's this needs we all catching a cold.
And with Ukraine, it's actually not oil alone. It's vegetable oils like sunflower oil. That
it's
the
oil,
yellow,
it's wheat, it's
the yellow
everything.
in their flag represents the sunflowers. They make a lot of the world's supply of sunflower oil.
I'll show you how this hits to home. I'm a lawyer, and there was supposed to be, I was entering a business arrangement with something that would have some business arrangement, and because of the war in Ukraine, operations into that business arrangement had to cease because it was a branch. It affected the other person who would have been in that area. So it just goes to show
tell you,
how
in 2020 I tried ordering some stuff for a photo shoot as part of my events business, and eventually the person had to send back the money. Not 2020, just before the war started.
Yes.
Because at that point in time, it wasn't as crazy as it is now. And so we were waiting to see if she could have been able to DHL the stuff for me, and she held on to it. And I was kind of trying to be sympathetic. So for like 6 weeks, we were doing a back and forth dance, hoping that she could get the product shipped out to me. Because quite a number of the products that I use in my business are sourced from Ukraine, Poland, Russia, that region.
Wow.
And eventually she had to send the money back to me via PayPal. We couldn't continue with the purchase. And I felt so horrible for her as a business person. And it also made me have to change the whole decor for my photo shoot. So it's the simple things that you think that, fine, Ukraine is so far away. I remember seeing African students, and I think there was like a handful of Caribbean students that were trapped in Ukraine when the war started. I know for a fact there were some Guyanese that were trapped in Ukraine when the war started, and they were trying to get out, and they were busy trying to convince them to stay and serve. So,
Really?
Yes, they had some person studying medicine there, and they
No,
were
but
trying
they
to
stay and
convince the
serve?
men,
Really?
the men specifically, to stay and serve, give back to the country, because they had been there for a few years, so they were technically, residents. So it does have a domino effect. And we're seeing it coming about. I know you wanted to speak about that whole bank crisis.
No, but I'll just to wrap up the Ukraine thing, because you can't make the point enough about how interconnected the world is. A lot of raw materials, industrial materials, come from Ukraine. Titanium, bauxite, which they make aluminum from, iron ore for steel and stuff. Cooking oils, sunflower oil, I think they grow some other stuff as well. Wheat, as you know. And you remember there was a period last year where the Russians were actually stealing the wheat and shipping it. So all of that would affect the wheat prices.
Yeah, and when we look also
oats as well.
And a lot of so many things have been affected due to the war in Ukraine, and when you add that to the lives and the destruction of the city in Ukraine, you're like, does war really? What's the good from the war? You understand?
You'd be surprised some people actually like war.
Exactly, and you're like, it has so many devastating
war makes
effects.
some people rich, so some people actually are
so
invested.
Many devastating effects that you why can't we all, get along? We're only on this space for such a short time.
Good luck.
So
very utopian ideal.
Yeah.
No, but good point. I mean, it makes you. I mean, imagine a man will hold whole countries to ransom because of their egos.
Yeah, and that's the thing. These egos of the leaders, and everyone gets affected because of the person who sits in that seat and the ego that he or she has.
Because in the last few months, I know Russia has suffered terribly, and the morale is at an all-time low. Officers are deserting and everything, but still, war rages on.
Here we go. And he will never capitulate. He'll never surrender. In all these things, sometimes people ask the spokesman from the White House spokesman, and they ask him, well, what can Mr. Putin? He just needs to leave Ukraine. But we all know it's not that simple for Mr. Putin, right?
It's not.
Okay. So let's move on to the bank, the Silicon Valley Bank. I did read though that it might not cause as widespread repercussions as first thought, because it's the bank that's mostly focused on the startups in San Francisco, the Bay Area.
They're touting it as though it's not a government bailout, because just this morning, President Biden said that everybody will get back their money and everything will be solved. But they're now touting it. Well, is it a federal bailout, as what happened when the other big banks crashed? But their excuse is that it's not. It's that they're just complying with regulations and they're using monies that were already there in existence. But I also heard that a lot of the persons that were moving their money from the Silicon Valley Bank and some of the persons that were affected, they had quite a bit of cryptocurrency. So it might not be all that physical money that we're accustomed to. But there is some craziness going on in the banking system in the US. Wells Fargo was trending on Twitter just a few days ago. I think it was either Thursday or Friday. Wells Fargo was trending because a bunch of persons were seeing monies going missing from their bank account. And I know that happened with Bank of America about a month or two ago. So there is something happening.
There's something because there's apparently the forensic accountant said that a bunch of bonuses were paid just before that.
Yes.
Before SVB.
Yes, just before
SVB
they shut
went
down.
So that they probably knew something was up. But let's hope it's cryptocurrency, because if it's cryptocurrency, it might not be as bad as. Because we all know that's just vaporware, right?
we need to get to the bottom of what it really was, because again, we don't want it to affect us. And we in Thinkits, we rely on intermediary bank service for a lot of transactions. So we need them to get their act together.
And it's important, listeners, for you to know that you guys might be saying, "Oh, why are you guys talking about this?" But once again, everything is interconnected. If this gets worse, at some point, the domino effect is gonna trickle down to us. It might be 6 months from now. It might be 3 months from now.
We're also facing our own crisis. There was an article talking about fake $100 notes in circulation in Antigua, and the ECCB alerted the residents, and they gave us a whole bunch of ways that we could identify when we have a real $100 bill and a fake $100 bill. And I did see this floating around. Someone sent it to me last week, but I just didn't even stop off to read it. But then I was like, what are the chances of it getting into Thinkits? Very slim. Antigua is 26 minutes away. So the ECCB gave a whole long list of ways in which you can identify whether or not you have a fake $100 bill, and it starts with holding it up to the light. There's a watermark with the Queen's head. There's a thread running through it with ECCB listed all over the thread. There's another way in which they'd also mentioned that all the serial numbers are different. There's a serial number running horizontally. There's one running vertically. So just be on the lookout, guys, for these fake $100 bills. Make sure that you're not in possession of one, because if you are, then you're definitely going to have a conversation with the authorities.
Apparently, Central Bank is reporting that the notes bear 2 serial numbers. So,
right.
Folks, we're going to give you the serial numbers so you can write them down. VBV as in, give me a word that begins with V.
Van.
Okay, van. VB, okay, van bread, VB 4T6 226. And WD as in, what's the word
Window?
that begins with D? No, D. What's the word?
Dog.
Yeah. Dog, okay. So W dog D. WD 230137. The coffee isn't working this morning. I don't know what's going on.
And also, individuals who think that they may be in possession of the EC counterfeit paper notes are also advised that they should report the matter to the police station nearest to them. And that's what ECCB has said. They've recommended that. So, guys, if you think you might be in possession of these fake banknotes, please report it to the nearest police station.
Now, this article is taken from Antigua.news, and here's what there are 2 comments on the bottom of the article. Here's what one of the first comments says. This is the result of bringing the Nigerian scammers to Antigua.
I did see those comments.
Then the other one says, everybody with even half a brain realizes that Antigua is an easy target for everything, because anything does and often
everything goes, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That meant, everything goes and often accepted here. But let's not go down that road. But let's just be on the lookout. I really thought that with the new polymer notes,
right.
I thought it would have been difficult.
That because the polymer notes have a specific feel to them.
Yeah, and it's a very specific material
that
you can't just get anywhere, like paper, So
persons are becoming more and more crafty.
Yeah.
In the way in which they deceive others. So.
Because the photos that they showed, it does look like $100 bill, except that it's when it's crumpled, of course, now with the polymer notes, nothing will be erased or transferred, or, you know, like when you have like folds in the money back in the day would make it a little bit faded. With the polymer notes, that is not an issue. And the ones that they're issuing, obviously it's not the same type of material that they're using. So that in and of itself is another way that you can recognize if you have a fake note.
You know, it's very interesting, you know, because we do business on a day-to-day basis, and oftentimes people bring cash. How often do you, when you do business with somebody, you actually go through the notes that you receive to ensure that it's not fake?
Very rare.
Yeah, very rare. Because we
unless when you hold it. For me, if I hold it and it feels a certain way, then I may like take another step back, especially if it's US. Well, then I know there are pens that you can use to identify the US currency. But now that we have our own EC currency being threatened, it's a good point. How often do you check to see? I mean, when they first came out, I would always have to check when I'm paying $100 or $10 because it's the same type of blue.
Yes.
So that would be probably the only time that I would freeze and like, is it really 10? Is it 100? What is it I'm actually using? But other than that, I don't think that we check.
I wonder if the central bank has any system. It would have been nice if, because, you know, the Americans have the polymer notes. No, have they? Yeah, they have the polymer notes now, right? Do they? No, because it's a Canadian, Andy.
Yes.
So, I mean, and I know our money's made in Canada, but it would be nice if the central bank could have some kind of something similar along the lines of what the Americans use for the U.S. money, like a marker that we can use.
Maybe they do internally, just don't.
Yeah.
Because do they still do there's a method where, you know, all the banks meet and the back check money is like almost like a clearinghouse. And I think the only reason I know is because my mom worked in so many banks for so many years, but there's a method where all the banks meet. I think maybe it's daily at a certain time, and they go and they do like a clearinghouse sort of thing. Okay. And then they would give the central bank all the mutilated cash and whatever. So they must have a way.
Is that what they call the beat up notes? Mutilated?
Right.
That's interesting. Okay.
So, you know, they must have a way where they can identify if a bank has, you know, been in receipt of some sort of fake note.
Okay.
So
you watch your Oscars last night?
No, but before we get to the Oscars, there was something that I read over the weekend, and it's a couple celebrating 70 years of marriage. And what I found interesting in this article was the fact that the young lady, she married a black man in Britain in the 1940s, and as a result of her marrying this black man, she was actually thrown out of her house. So father said, if you're marrying him, don't come back here. And so they've had to, she was kicked out. He originally he's from Trinidad. So he migrated, you know, during that time with the Windrush and so persons were traveling. And so he traveled there. He went to school up there. He actually came back and then visited her again. And he proposed to her. Upon proposal, she was given an ultimatum. If she marries him, she will be out of the family. And so they've had a rough time, because the article spoke about them. She always having to explain who he was into her circle, you know. And then they had difficulty getting a place rented and moving into an environment. So it showed about, you know, the discrimination and so, just because she married a black man. And it shows, and then I said at the end of the day, look at it.
What year was this?
In the 1940s. So
you know that still happens.
So I say, right, that look at this, look at all the obstacles, and they're celebrating 70 years, and
love wins.
Yeah, and there's some couples out there who don't have as many obstacles as that, and they'll celebrate in less. They can't make it work. So it was a touching story. I was like, wow, just like imagine, just less than 100 years ago, we had all of these segregation, and right now I'm thinking there's some persons still have the mindset and the concept that, you know, black persons should marry black persons, and
trust me,
there's still some persons like
exists.
that. But
it's
imagine
very prevalent in Guyana.
You mean with the Indians marrying Indians?
Parents have kicked out children from time immemorial for crossing that race divide.
And he just
I'm happy to say that the younger persons a lot of them don't subscribe to it.
And I find
they believe that love is love.
Yeah, and I believe that I find that this generation and the younger generation
more open.
Yeah, more open, more understanding, and not as stringent as.
They have more names for love and sex than we can even imagine. Everything.
Mm-hmm. To your point, I find it interesting that they got married all the way back in the 1940s and they stuck it out, because I imagine the racist vitriol had to be much worse than it is now. And then you read all these studies.
Even mentioned in the article, because you can't put everything into the article.
But wait, no. Here's my point. And when you think about the U.S., where I know a lot of interracial couples don't last long because they can't handle the vitriol, the racist vitriol, because in a time which is ostensibly more accepting and more liberal.
Exactly, because they're not only facing difficulties, because in a relationship you have disagreements, you have difficulties enough of that. So they're not only facing internal problems, they're facing external problems in addition to that.
Exactly.
They have a society that's trying to pull them apart. Well, so you understand, for 70 years, I think that's commendable. It shows true love.
I think it just shows that we're wimps.
You're gonna, tell me that you're getting married. I got very excited about wedding planning.
It just shows how.
I think Candy trying to get business out of me, Jam Store.
Probably.
Yeah, and
why
she's sweetening me up.
Probably.
I have some friends I could pass them on to you.
Okay, it's 9:22. Folks, feel free to give us a call if you want. Okay, we had the Oscars happening last night, and I really forgot to mention it on Friday. The Oscars is. I think what happened was I wasn't sure. I knew it was the 12th, but for some reason at the time I was like,
there was an Oscar party in Nevis, so I definitely knew when it was.
There was an Oscar party in Nevis.
I think it was Nev Italia, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. They were advertising an Oscar party.
Okay,
cool. Come dressed up, and they'll have specials and drinks, and
we have a call.
Go ahead, caller.
Caller, go right ahead. Okay, that person. You can always call back. But Michelle Yeoh, she actually won. She won Best Actress last night.
That's the one you want to start off with, because there was a whole thing on Twitter and Instagram about Auntie Angela Bassett not winning Supporting Actress for Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, was it Jamie Lee
Curtis took that
right?
award, and she herself had been waiting to win that award. I think it was for 35 years. But no one in the black community gave any credence to that. They were very upset that Angela Bassett didn't win that for Wakanda Forever. So it was a whole thing.
Caller, go right ahead.
Okay, I don't want to take away anything. I just want to add to it. We are still receiving high praises for the cleanliness of the island and our streets and by the side of the road. And say thanks to all traffickers and pedestrians and passengers alike who are not throwing things out of the windows of the car and who are not littering. And that's something that we should not encourage. And when they compare Antigua, Dominica, Montserrat, all the other islands to us, they say that our island are very clean. Those are the testimonies of those who have traveled to those other islands. But one of the hitting blow that hits me, though, is the fact that I was speaking to a tour operator the other day, and he was saying to me that the African tulip tree will have to lose sight of it from among us because of the fact that it is capturing the bees. And as the bees go there for the nectar from the flower, the bee does not get the opportunity to fly out back to their nest. So I understand that the owner of the Romney's Manor have already started the initiative of removing that beautiful African tulip from the landscape of Romney's Manor. If you guys remember, as you drive to Frigate Bay, there's a first restaurant, and you're right after you pass the middle roundabout and traveling down where you're going to meet the casarinas, those large trees.
and you will see a beautiful orange yellow tree. That is the African tulip. That probably will have to be cut down because where there is a threat to our food supply, then we'll have to remove it from our landscape. But it's a very beautiful scenery, very beautiful flowers. But for some reason or another, it is killing the bees.
It is beautiful.
I went on the internet and put in the word African tulip, and I realized that it is true. I also went and physically checked the plants and the flower because I love the tree. And so I recognize that there are a lot of bees that are dead in the flower itself. So that is something that we'll have to lose because it's a threat to our food supply.
Interesting.
Say the name again?
African tulip.
African tulip.
Okay.
African tulip. You can go on the website and look it up and you will see.
I just did. It's a
And if you
beautiful
like, when you're going
plant,
to
but I
Frigate Bay-
didn't know it was so deadly.
When you're going to Frigate Bay, you can pick one of the flower and open it, and you will realize it's full of bees. I've done it myself.
Wow.
And I say thanks to the owner of Gumbs Manor, which started the initiative in cutting down those trees. It's a beautiful plant, but for some reason or another, I think we have to lose it. It's a threat to our
of course.
food sources.
Right,
So
if the bees can't pollinate,
that's
then
just
we
the way it
can't
goes.
get new plants.
Gentlemen, lady, have a wonderful day.
Thank you so
God
much
bless
for
you.
that caller. Same to you. Have a great day today.
It says here, is the African tulip tree a pest?
Mhm.
It is also regarded as a potential environmental weed or a sleeper weed in the New South Wales and other parts of North Australia. This species is also listed in the Global Invasive Species Database and is regarded to be among the top 100 of the world's worst invasive alien species.
So that's another one we have to add to the list.
Okay. Let's just get a quick word from the sponsor of this segment. It's Tapwater Caribbean, and then we'll come back and take a few phone calls right before the next segment.
Do you want to improve the quality of your water? Is buying bottled water costing you a fortune? Say no to bottled water and yes to Tapwater Caribbean and Espo Water Solutions. We offer eco-friendly filtration products such as our Ultra Filter or our Bottle Pro for at home or on the go. Fill up anywhere. We also have a Shower Pro designed to protect and give you healthy skin. Visit us today at tapwatercaribbean.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Let's drink clean, pure, healthy water together. Remember, go green, save money, and save our planet.
And we're back with the final remaining moments. This segment brought to you by Tapwater Caribbean. Let's squeeze in a couple more calls before we go to our next segment. Go right ahead, caller. It's 9:28.
Good morning.
Oh, hi.
Good morning.
That's a
Mahon?
really interesting story with the bees in that tree.
Yes.
I just wondered, though, if cutting down all of those trees might not create an imbalance. You know?
I was thinking about that as well.
Yeah. Could you imagine being overrun by bees? You know, nature has its own way of,
Of
balancing
ensuring
things.
checks and balances, natural checks and
Sure,
balances.
If it's a problem in a specific area, maybe remove it from there. But we certainly don't want to get rid of all the trees, such trees. We want to preserve diversity. Can I revisit the Caribbean travel thing?
Yes. Yes.
Well, first of all, I don't think the heads of government in Bahamas made much progress with it. As a matter of fact, I think it was Antigua who expressed some misgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what should really happen, maybe they're trying too hard. I think they should start with some kind of memorandum of understanding that they can all agree on, and basically that we want more and easier intra-regional travel. That's absolutely necessary if we are to advance the cause of regional integration. I mean, everybody is euphoric about inter-Caribbean coming here, for example.
Yes.
But we must not forget that that is so because of the vacuum created by the demise of Leah.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to recreate a tried and tested but failed operational model in the region for air travel in the region. I don't think that's the answer. I think the bottom line is that people are not going to travel as often if the cost is prohibitive.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what they should be concentrating on, reducing the cost. And so I hope the leaders didn't get bogged down with routes and those sorts of things.
Okay.
For starters, I think they should essentially, basically, they should look at what's happening between St. Kitts and Nevis. You notice how travel between our two islands it's exploded, essentially. And look at why that is so. I think, first of all, the equipment being used lends itself to that sort of travel. More schedules, okay? And so people can just hop on at convenience and get off. Secondly,
Okay, Mac. We have
another
segment
but
coming
thank you
up.
so much for
9:31.
that input.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes.
Both of them. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes, thank you,
So,
Mac.
Okay, so coming up next, we have a segment, a very interesting segment. I'm not going to tell you guys what it's about yet, but let's get a quick word from Tapwater, and then we will hear from Rams, and then we get into a very interesting segment coming up next.
Do you want to improve the quality of your water? Is buying bottled water costing you a fortune? Say no to bottled water and yes to Tap Water Caribbean and Espol Water Solutions. We offer eco-friendly filtration products such as our Ultra Filter or our Bottle Pro for at home or on the go. Fill up anywhere. We also have a Shower Pro designed to protect and give you healthy skin. Visit us today at tapwatercaribbean.com or on Facebook and Instagram. Let's drink clean, pure, healthy water together. Remember, go green, save money, and save our planet.
Found the sound 98.9.
Hey kids, drink healthy.
Reduce sugar chubby with the same great taste. Lots of magic fruity flavors, drink the more healthy way.
It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby.
25% less sugar chubby. Be active, be healthy, drink lots of chubby. Kicking football, playing cricket, having fun in the sun.
It's chubby.
Reduced sugar chubby keeps you cool and refreshed.
It tastes so yummy, chubby, chubby.
25% less sugar chubby. Jumping rope, running races, have fun.
It tastes so yummy, chubby.
Drink the more healthy way.
It's 9:34. Our next segment. It's all about Tayo Gishard Pine. Tayo is 25 years old. She was born in London to parents with St. Kitts Nevis and Jamaican heritage. Her father is a world-renowned jazz musician, Courtney Pine. Tayo is completing her MD at Windsor University in St. Kitts and hopes to specialize in pathology. Tayo has been living in St. Kitts for 6 years and has taught violin before she went to UWI in Jamaica. She is back on the island now and wants to restart teaching music by starting this project called Take a Bow. Project Take a Bow. Let's Play Music, which familiarized individuals with playing the violin. And the project should last about 12 weeks and culminates in a private and public performance. It is free to those recruited to the project, and the violins are provided. So, Tayo Pine is here to reach out to folks interested in learning to play the violin. Okay, stand by. It's 9:35 and it's time. It's violin time. We got June Pine. That's the wife of Courtney Pine and also the mother of Tayo Gishad Pine. Good morning.
Good morning. And so we have a treat for persons, and you know it is Monday, and the violin is such a beautiful instrument, isn't it? Melodious beats, and so we have persons in here. We have the Pine family, and we have a teacher, Tayo, and so we are going to hear some beautiful music and rendition, a playing of one of our most popular songs here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Yes. A very special song.
Take it away.
Nice.
Perfect.
Tayo, come on, say good morning to the folks. And June, pull that mic down on the end there, yes.
Yes.
And tell us, you can tell us while Tayo gets puts away her violin.
I would usually say good morning, St. Kitts Nevis, but
Yes.
good morning world now, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes, we are international here. So welcome. Tell us something about you.
Okay, so my actual professional background is as a child and family and couple psychologist. So
Okay.
I'm really into mental well-being, emotional well-being. And when I used to work in the UK, I've been retired and living here for 7 years now.
Mhm.
We appreciate that a musical instrument can really help with your emotional well-being, build your confidence as you gain skills and so on, and has very healing aspects to it. So I'm always been quite interested in what playing an instrument, singing also, but playing an instrument can do for your emotional well-being. And it was not difficult for me being with Courtney for 40 years now. It's our 40th anniversary this year. To actually, thank you, to pass that on to our children. And when my middle daughter started to learn violin at school, I thought, oh my goodness, the screeching sound going to be in the house all day, all night. And her sister then, Tayo here, followed on, but actually really took to the violin, and it became very beautiful, as you said, Azard, melodious music.
Yes.
That was nice to hear you ringing in the house when you're going through your daily chores and so on. But as you say, it's a very fragile instrument, especially in a hot country like this. It's a very difficult instrument to learn. And it's a very difficult instrument to learn. So, when Tayo came to live here, she thought, what can I do with these skills and knowledge that I have? Perhaps I can also introduce other young people and older people to playing the violin. We know there's violin teachers here already, but it's something that she wanted to do and began doing some years ago.
The instrument does need to gain some popularity. I think a lot of persons are, this is me, my opinion, are intimidated because it always looks so complicated. It's such a tiny instrument, but the sounds that come out of it. And, you know, I always imagine the greats when I hear people playing violin. Like, I'm like, wow, how did they master that? It just seems so much more complicated than maybe the piano.
You know,
right?
when I'm thinking about the violin, I'm thinking, you know, like a nice solemn affair, you know, persons dressed in black and white, and you just there enjoying the music and the instrument being played.
Oh, I go full Bridgerton on it. Hear the violin, I'm like getting all these scenes of Jane Austen scenes, you know, Bridgerton mode.
Yeah,
So I guess, you know, it's different for everyone what it evokes. But I'm happy that you're here. Tell us some stuff about you and how you plan to incorporate this into our society.
Right, so I've been playing the violin since year 3, so that's around age 6 or 7, and you can learn from as young as 4, but usually you start around 6 or 7, your hands are very small and whatever, and you start with a smaller size. So as you grow, you get a bigger size. So this is a full-sized violin, and we also have some donated violins that we have between us. There's 4 of them. We have 3/4 size and a half size as well. So for younger children who have a shorter arm span, they can actually use the instrument.
So Taya, tell us about your the project you want to do for Take About project. Getting it's sort of like a flash violin tutoring program, sort of.
Yeah. So the Take About program its idea is to familiarize people with the instrument, so you don't have to be so worried about committing to perfecting it and playing it for years and years.
Right.
So it's just a few months of learning for a few hours a week. So, and at the end of the program, we like to have them learn Amazing Grace. It's a nice short piece which is familiar to people, and it's quite simple as well.
Is it open to any age group? Because
yes, it's open to any age group, but since we have some smaller violins, it's some younger children as well can join.
Yeah, we'd want to encourage really young children to come along as well. Yeah.
So, and you said they can start as young as 4.
Yes, they can, but we don't have that size violin.
So tell us the age group, so we could
from about 10, I'd say.
Okay.
10, yeah.
8, 10. But some people are taller, so it really does depend on
you know, as you talk about the age group and you talk about the height of the individual, it really brings into sense that based on your age, based on your height, you have a different. You have to match the violin type. So So I never thought about that before.
When I think of violin, I automatically think this is a very
fits all.
No, for me, I go high end because I know Stradivarius. I think that's like the most popular and probably the most expensive one.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, so she has some violin history. You can tell she's been exposed to this. You go deeper.
But I'm intrigued by it. And I never thought that, there were even smaller sizes based on your hand span. So I'm totally intrigued now. Now I'm going to go do some even more research.
Okay, so
are you doing this online? Can people, take lessons online, or is it in person?
The lessons would be in person. At residence, we have a studio which we can use the space for. And once the piece is prepared, we would have some shows there and hopefully move it to a bigger stage, like as at a church location. But we'd like to have it in St. Peter's in person. Yeah.
Okay, so folks, if you're just joining us, it's 9:43. We've got Tayo Gishad Pine and June Pine. She is putting together a violin tutoring workshop. If you're interested, Tayo, now would be a good time to give them the numbers and maybe an email address for people who might be interested, who might have a child that they think might be interested. Let's do that now. We'll do that at the end again as well.
Okay, Tayo's indicating that it should be my number.
Sure.
So my number is 663-2917. 663-2917.
And it's June Pine is Jeune.
Jeune. It's an unusual spelling of June. Jeune.
Yeah, and we have one of the comments on the YouTube is saying this person is Jane M. She says, I took my I took both of my kids to music classes, piano, and so persons have an appreciation for music. And I think what has been more popular here, I could be wrong, seemed to have been the piano. So now you have different instruments that persons are now open to.
This is why I'm so excited for this, because I think there should be, and I do agree with you with the healing power and maybe even expression to some point. Sometimes you just can't get the words out, but you can put it into your music. And I've seen a lot of musicians express this, but for it to just be steel pan or piano, it's kind of limiting. So I'm happy that you've started this project, but I couldn't help but overhear that your mom said you're also studying medicine. Where do you find the time? Tell us how we can get tapped into this extra time that you obviously have.
Yes.
It's you have to learn how to manage time well. Ideally, you practice every day, but you have to be a bit more flexible with things and prioritize your studies when you need to be prioritized.
Has this helped you though, like to create some sort of balance and calming effect? Because I know medicine is not an easy topic to study. It's not an easy subject.
Well, I think from learning violin for years, it really fostered a discipline in me and getting used to taking exams and such. So it's actually helped me with my discipline, and exam taking is a lot easier for me, actually.
Wow, lovely.
Yeah, I think that's an important point about the discipline side as well, because learning an instrument gives you such a wide range of skills, internal skills as well as performance skills, and how to engage with people that's listening to you. So I think it's good that she's mentioned that, because discipline is very important to foster.
Definitely. And if we're starting them young, it can only lead to bigger and better things, because you inculcate that from the beginning, so they know that there's a time and place, and there's also room for multitasking, and learning the notes alone. I think that's one of the reasons I never really took music, because I started off, but then at the same time I was doing like 13 subjects. I was just like, all right, which ones I like more?
And it's a new language, isn't it? Reading the
It
notes.
really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Tayo, I was wondering, have you ever heard of the Reggae Philharmonic Orchestra?
No, I haven't actually.
You haven't? June probably knows who they are. Right?
Yeah, I do. In fact, her father has worked with them. He's actually touring. He returned to England just last weekend because he's doing a tour with a string quartet. So that's his current project. And it is associated with lots of sophisticated classical music, of course. But one of the things Tayo is bashful about saying is she used to lead a string quartet in England. And they used to play Kevin Little. What was that song? Turn Me On. And things like that. And so we know a few years ago, Mappy was here, and we tried to meet Mappy. Because, Tayo listens to, well, I'll let you say who you listen to for yourself, because there's...
I was definitely impressed with Mappy. Yes.
Yeah, it goes outside of...
So who are the violinists that you listen to?
Violinists I listen to?
Or just general music?
Yeah, but the violinists first.
No pressure.
Well, Hilary Hahn is a very, virtuoso instrumentalist. So I watch her performances of like Four Seasons and such. It's very high standards of violin performance. She has amazing technique and expression. So I like to watch her play a lot.
Okay.
And orchestras and such.
And Regina, right?
What about
Regina Carter is she plays jazz. Like, she has albums that I've enjoyed a lot because she plays it like in a complete different style than what I'm used to, classical music, and she makes African style violin pieces, and it's really very interesting.
So who do you like musically? I mean, other than the violin players.
Other than the violin players, I like a lot of R&B and pop, I suppose.
Who is one of your favorite artists? If you have to give, you don't have to give one. Let's say you want to list some of your top standouts. Who are some of those artists?
I'd say Layla Hathaway. I love to sing, so do something.
Layla Hathaway.
So you sing as well as play the violin?
Yeah, well,
Very nice.
at home, I suppose I sing, yeah.
Have you been involved and played with other musicians since you've been here?
Yes, I did some performances with Swanson.
The late Swanson.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we performed here in Nevis. I did some performances with BPW, but very sparing performance because I've really been doing schooling, yeah. So
what year of schooling are you in?
Oh, I'm almost finished. I just have to round up one more semester and then I'll be finished, yeah.
But you don't look older than 60.
She got G's from my mom.
Ty, I wanted to ask. You mentioned earlier that the take about project is to get people to maybe you could say sample the violin. Now, if there is a subset of the people that show up for these lessons who want to continue learning the violin, do you have any kind of framework for that?
Yes, I'm hoping to do that, but I am traveling soon, so I can't commit to taking on students long term at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it something that can be done on Zoom though? Like, let's say we started and then you had to travel, but I did want to continue my lessons. Would that be something that persons could tap into maybe?
I think the issue as the administrator is that the violin is very fragile, it's very expensive.
Yes.
And what we found in the UK, because of the volume of people, the school could provide it initially, and then if you were interested, you'd go, your parents would buy it for you.
Yes.
Right.
So to teach on Zoom, they would have to have their own
the
violin, you see. So
Right.
that's why we're just going to do a familiarization, because if they want their parents, or even for themselves, if they're an adult, to commit to buying a violin, then, we want to be sure.
Cost?
Well, you can get second-hand ones on eBay. They go anything from, I'm going to say pounds because I'm used to pounds, so about £200 up to tens of thousands of pounds. But if they Google like good teaching violins, they should be able to find a range of prices to suit them. But we think it's quite important because we had this donation to give them the opportunity to see, am I really going to like this? Because as I said, my initial thing was, it's just screechy sound, it's all classical music. But, it's only when you hold it, feel it, understand how it works, that you really understand whether you want to.
I think I initially had that belief that it was just classical music. And then as I started to delve in, and then Mappy, when she visited and she lit up the stage and she went from one thing to the next, I was like, we really been sleeping on this instrument.
Sure. And when Courtney performed here, he had a violinist from Cuba, Omar Puente. And he's been asking me to see if I can get him on the Latin Fiesta because of he plays Latin violin. But I don't think we've had it here for a while. So, yeah, the Latin Fiesta.
We're going to stay in contact with her because I'm expecting great things. I'm happy that you're now starting off this new week because we're still on a high from Women's Week last week. Still touting that it should be a month. But I'm happy that you're one of our first guests. And we had a female inspector earlier. But I'm very happy for this initiative.
I am seeing the plugins here all the time now.
Tayo and June, could you give us, folks, if you're just joining us, 9:53, Tayo Gishard Pine is offering violin lessons for free. Could you give them the contact information once again? Oh, and what we're going to do when you get off, I'm going to take you upstairs to Sharon, and you can dictate a notice, which will go on Community Diary.
Okay.
And you can tell her how long. You can tell her how long you want that read on Community Diary. So give them the contact information again.
Great.
For anyone who wants to learn the violin.
Right. So you can contact me, June Gishard Pine, on 663-2917. And we're hoping to recruit people of all ages that are interested in the violin.
Sounds good.
Thank you. And I want to actually put it out there that even if you don't know anything about it, this is the perfect opportunity for you to learn. Go see if you like it. You never know where it will take you.
Exactly, and the classes are free. I mean,
you can't beat free.
You can't beat that. You get the opportunity to learn an instrument. See if you like it. A little teaser, a little taster. It's like a sample,
I like
and then
that.
from there you could understand, okay, then this is something that I'm good at, because sometimes we don't try things out of fear, not realizing that once we do it, we actually like this, and actually not too bad, because we have different instruments that persons would be exposed to, and so you never know which instrument suits you. Just like a car, you might like certain varieties, maybe like a clothing also. So this is your time to test out the violin and see if that's the instrument for you.
That is true, and I see that's something that they're doing in the schools in St. Lucia. Persons actually donated a bunch of instruments, cellos, violins, and a bunch of them, and the children would do after-school classes and test out the instrument to see which one appeals to them. And the program, I think, started out with about maybe 4, maybe 6 pieces of, and I think they were mostly stringed instruments, cellos, violins, and guitars. And it has grown, and persons have now been donating like crazy. So the musical program has grown. So we may be onto something here.
Yes.
I'm definitely looking forward to bigger and better things.
We most certainly
have a whole orchestra playing the national anthem.
Exactly.
Yes.
Wow. How amazing that would be. Thank you so much for sharing your talent with us.
Tayo and June Gishard Pine. And folks, if you're interested in if you're interested in the tree that the fruit fell from, go and check out Courtney Pine's music on YouTube, iTunes. I have a bunch of albums myself, but you guys can go check that out. And he usually does. Maybe you wanna go ahead and plug that that cruise, that music cruise he usually does around St.
Oh yeah. Well, for the last 5 years on Music Festival Sunday, we've been doing a cruise, a jazz cruise on a catamaran called Jazz and Lime. It's a day cruise. It's a cruise and dine. So it starts at Port Zante and ends at Spice Mill, where people disembark and have some food and some good fun, and then a taxi will pick them up.
Okay.
So far, we've been able to bring quite a few people from the UK to enjoy that. And it's been a very popular event for the last 5 years.
Sounds really good.
I'm there thinking, why have I not heard about this before?
Yes.
I would love to experience that.
Right.
So hopefully it's coming up with this new music festival season.
Well, Courtney's actually touring, so we're not sure if we can do it this year.
Yeah.
But we might
Something
do it another time of the
looking
year.
forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to train Tayo to take over. Daddy can't fill in.
Yeah. Should do some Regina Carter on the.
Okay, Tayo
Thank you
Griffin.
so much for spending this time with us this morning.
Thank you so much for having us.
No problem. And thank you for playing the national anthem so wonderfully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tayo Gishard Pine, I'm gonna take them upstairs so we can get that information onto Community Diary. So anyone who wants to sign up to learn to play the violin, you will be able to hear the number if you didn't catch it this time. And I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope you get a bunch of sign-ups.
Thank you.
Me too.
Me too.
We'll keep in touch with you guys to see how things are going.
Okay.
Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
And good luck in your studies as well.
Yes,
you.
so you will be Dr. Pine soon.
Yes.
What will you be specializing in? What's your...
Oh, I'm quite interested in pathology. So
Wow. Nice.
we'll see.
I'm very impressed with this young lady. Thank you so much for visiting us today.
Wonderful.
You just made my day. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. And I just want to wish everyone a good day out there. Do have a wonderful day, and we'll let Jamsa take us into the music, into the next edition tomorrow.
Definitely.
Until the
See
next
you guys
edition
tomorrow. Hear us on the radio tomorrow. Have a good one today.
Well, I should tell you guys that starting today,
Yes.
the spin cycle returns. So the spin cycle starts right after this. On Mondays, 10 to 11.
Mm-hmm.
So Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 10 to 11. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, when there's no voices, it will go until 2 o'clock. So it'll be 10 until 2
So
o'clock.
tell persons about the spin cycle, Jamster.
The spin cycle is my mix show. It's an oasis in a desert of no music.
Yes.
An oasis of today's, the best music of today, and of course a little taste of recurrence and classics. Recurrence are songs that are like, say, about a year old. They're still new, but they're not new.
Well, welcome
So-
back. We'll definitely be tuning in for the spin
Yes,
cycle today.
yes.
We want to see the edition.
And Candice, I was actually planning, right, that someday this week, I haven't decided which day. You remember you were talking about going to that EDM thing, so
Yes.
I'm gonna do a sampler for you nice house music, and I know Tayo and June knows what that is. Because they have a lot of that good stuff in the UK.
We'll be holding you to that. Let me know the day so that I can make sure that I bring all the people along so that we can all, tune in and pass some judgments.
I won't do it. I won't do it today because it's only an hour, but I'll do it when I have more time. So it'll probably be like Tuesday or Thursday.
Awesome.
No problem.
Thank you so much for that.
Right, of course.
Yes.
Spin Cycle returns in a few minutes. And once again, thanks to Tayo Gishad Pine and June Gishad Pine. If you want to learn the violin, you give the numbers again once again.
Okay, so I can definitely help because you've been asking for the number all the time. I took it down. You can contact June Pine at 663-2917.
Correct.
There you go.
Or tune into Community Diary because we'll have a little stint of it running on Community Diary.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
Awesome. Have a wonderful day.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Buildings damaged by an earthquake are dangerous. This is not the time for sightseeing. You could be in personal danger and your presence could hamper emergency responses. Also, stay away from areas prone to landslides, low-lying coastal areas, lakes and streams that lead to the ocean. Do not head for the coast